ropes. They allow us to link things together to do such things as hunting, pulling, fastening, attaching, and climbing. Ropes were used way back and were made with twisted stripes of hide, vines, and plant fibers. In today's video, we will see how we can make knots, 50 different ways to be exact. And of course, they are used for different categories. But different knots can be used for more than just one category. I just didn't specify that. A knot is a way of tying things together, an organized complication that makes for a useful tool. It can have a length of one or more segments of ropes so that it can bind to itself or to an object. They're very useful for survival and help in many ways. But without further ado, let's start with the 50 ways to do a knot. People at the docks and in the boats use a lot of knots. The first knot we will see in this video is the Alpine butterfly knot, also known as the butterfly knot because the shape while tying it up looks like a butterfly. Mountain climbers use this knot to keep the guy in the middle in the line. Boom hitch. The boom hitch is a very secure method to hold on to fixed objects such as fences, trees, or pipes. Bowline. The simple and effective knot which is easy to untie, but useful nevertheless. The Buntline Hitch. You can tie it on any sort of ring. It's so secure that it can be difficult to untie it. It became popular in recent years due to its performance in slippery modern synthetic lines. Double bowline. It's like the bowline, but in double. There's added strength and robustness. It contains 2 overhand loops, thus is why it is called the double bowline. The Flemish Bend. One of the strongest, safest, and simplest ways to put 2 ropes together. You can easily untie it, and the name Flemish Bend is a reference to a dialect of the Dutch language found in Belgium. Heaving line knot. Now this knot is used to add mass to the end of a rope, used for things such as an easier time throwing the line down a cliff. It is also known as the Alpine Coil. Midshipman's hitch. The knot has an adjustable loop at the end of the rope. It can go up and down the standing line to change the size. It's similar to the Tautline Hitch or the adjustable grip hitch. Monkey fist. The origin of this knot is being a heavying line knot used in ships, although it is used as decoration too. We see it on keychains for example, but I like to use it as a weapon. The Overhand Knot. Technically the easiest knot out of all. It's a foundation knot and is found very often. It is just so easy to make. We can add many of these knots on top of each other and use it as a weapon. For the next part of this video, we have hitches. Hitches are a good way of using ropes. The first one in the list is the anchor bend. As the name suggests it, we use it to fasten a line to an anchor. It is used as an overall safe and secure knot that stays permanently. Barrel hitch. This one is special. With this, we can lift barrels effectively. I sadly don't have a barrel, so I'm just using something else. It can go up and down. Blake's hitch. This one has an actual origin. The name derives from Jason Blake in 1994. This is a good replacement for the Prusik loop and it is usually tied to a pole. Cat's paw. Meow. Best known for attaching a sling to a hook for lifting loads. With both lines, if one of the loops falls off, the other one will keep being there. The Cleat Hitch. Used for tying a boat to a dock. The easy method of tying a rope to a cleat makes it a useful knot. The Clove Hitch. Attached to a pole. It can be used in many ways. A useful and easy to tie knot that handles pressure pretty well. The Cow Hitch. The Moo Hitch is also a very easy knot to make. It is similar to the Clove Hitch, but it should not be trusted in critical applications. you don't want beef with them. Half hitch. This knot by itself is not safe as it is used as support. The single half hitch is less safe than the two half hitches. The Knute Hitch. This knot is used as a weapon. Ridger Brian Toss is credited with naming the hitch after his favorite marlinspike of the same name. The slip knot. The slip knot is yet another simple one. You can use it to tie it to a pole, but the scaffold knot is a better alternative. And lastly, for this category, we have the transom knot. This is a lashing knot similar to the constrictor knot. It is used to fix cross pieces of rigid materials together at the right angle to each other. It has a wide range of uses for the outside world to fasten poles. Another selection of knots shows the importance of rescue and survival. We'll start off with the backup knot. This is an essential knot for security and as a backup. It's used to stop the primary knot from untying. It's pretty useful. Farmer's loop. This knot uses a loop that's very useful if you want to make a loop in a rope away from an end of a rope. It takes a handy way to tie this fun knot. Fireman's coil. The coil keeps everything under control. The benefits of the fireman's coil is that it can be released by a simple pull of a rope end. The handcuff knot. One of my favorites for unspecified reasons. It can be tightened down around someone's hands or feet. To add even more security, we can do this. And of course, we can make sure that it is secured this way. Ring bend, also known as the water knot, is the best knot to use when tying knots in webbing. It is used as grab handles, for example. Running bowline. This is a bowline that can run through the loops. This can be useful for retrieving objects by throwing the open loop around them and the loop will tighten down on the object. The Spanish bowline. And this bowline is a double loop knot. Having double loops can be useful for light rescue work and can take the load pretty well. About the name, Spanish people probably just need light rescue work more than others. The stopper knot. This is tied at the end of a rope to prevent the end from untying. It is another simple knot, and this one belongs to the same category of knots used to secure primary knots. And before we pass on to the new category, we have the Zeppelin Bend, the knot with the first letter of Z. It is used to tie two ropes together. An easy knot to tie which is very secure and jam-proof. It takes two ropes to form it, like I said. For the next category, we have loop knots. Starting off with the artilleryman's loop knot. Also known as the harness loop, it is an easy knot to tie that dates back to the days of manhandling artillery guns and horses in the battlefield. It is similar to the Alpine butterfly knot seen all the way in the beginning of the video. Better bow knot. This one looks like a shoelace tie, but it's actually better than any actual shoelace. You can make your shoelaces tighter like so. The figure 9 loop, used to form a fixed loop at the end of a rope. It is shaped like a 9 and it's bulkier than the figure 8, as well as being stronger and easier to untie. I highly recommend this one. The figure 8 still is one of the strongest knots. It forms a secure loop at the end of a rope, and it's also the most widely used tie-in knot by mountain climbers. Hanson's knot, a small and great knot for making a loop at the end of the rope. It was popular among Boy Scouts. It's strong, doesn't slip, and is easy to untie after being put on heavy loads. The Honda knot. No, not the car Honda, but a knot that all cowboys use to form their lasso or lariat. This knot also goes by the names of lasso knot or lariat knot. It creates the most nearly perfect circle of any knot, so you can just throw it around and act like a cowboy. Lanyard knot. This, contrary to most knots, is used for decoration. It is commonly used as a stopper knot too. The Scaffold Knot. The Scaffold Knot is also another practical and simple knot. I like the shape of this one. Slippery 8 loop. This loop, which has a great security for an adjustable loop. It has a simple way of being made. The True Lover's Knot. I should have done this for Valentine's Day. The name of this knot derives from the 2 intertwined overhand knots which symbolize a binding love between 2 people. And finally, the Yosemite bowline. Another very secure loop that goes around one leg of the loop and tucked back through the knot. It's also easier to untie. Linked with survival, we have scouting knots. In this selection of knots, we have things such as the sheep shank, the shank, which has been used throughout history. It might seem reliable, but it's better to just avoid it. It's not a stable knot and can fall apart quickly, just like a baby goat. The square knot. While writing this script, I noticed that the square knot is the same as the emoji when you type in the word knot. Although it is not to be trusted to join 2 ropes together. It was used for centuries by sailors. But why is it called a square knot when it's not square shaped? I guess we'll never know. The trucker's hitch. This hitch is used to pull very tightly. It's pretty secure when you know how to use it. This goes for anything you do really. We are done with this category, and now I'll just move on to the last knots we have, which aren't from any specific category. Like I mentioned before, we have the Constrictor Knot, a useful knot to tie up loose materials or the end of bags. It grips itself. As the name suggests it is constricted. Sheet bend. This is a useful knot for tying 2 ropes together, even when rope sizes and materials differ greatly. It is suitable for most non-critical applications. It kind of looks like the square knots. The Tautline Hitch. The hitch that allows slipping to tighten or loosen a line, then holds fast under load. The hitch is useful for lines that may need adjustments. It is usually secure, and it's also used by many scouts. You can strap it on a pole. The timber hitch, used for securing a rope around a pole or any cylindrical object. It does not jam or slip, no matter how heavy the load is, and it's pretty easy to tie and untie. So we can say that it's useful. The Cowboy Bowline Knot. It is self-explanatory. It can be tied up in 2 different ways. It's like this and like that and like this and And finally, for our last knot of the day, we have the Hangman's Knot. Also known as the Hangman's Noose, is most often seen as a way of hanging a person around their neck. Please do use it for something else other than restraining air from someone's windpipe. This was the 50 ways to do a knot, each one for different uses and all special in their own way. The main source of the video was netknots.com. You can comment which one is your favorite. Mine is the monkey fist or the handcuff knot. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more guides I will do in the future. Goodbye.